Hey guys, I am Kobe Campbell. I am a licensed trauma therapist, author, speaker, and I have been enjoying talking to you guys in the great lighting of my bathroom each day about something that's been on my heart as a therapist and as a believer and just as a person. So I have a bunch of golden questions that I have created for my clients that I think really help them recalibrate and reassess how they're approaching the situation at hand that's before us. And I think these questions are really good at taking us from like here to here, like focusing on ourselves. And I wanted to share one with you guys today. So here's my golden question. If the cycle could only be broken by a decision that you make, what decision would you need to make? If the cycle could only be broken by a decision that you make, a choice you make, an action you take, what decision would you need to make? The reason why I ask that question to my clients is I have to remind them that our brain is not designed for efficiency or accuracy. Our brain is designed to seek relief in the quickest way possible. And the quickest way, sorry, my nose is itchy. The quickest way to seek relief is to look at the external circumstances and hope and wish and try and put our energy into that changing, because it costs less when we don't have to change, but our situation can change, right? All of us have been in some point in our lives in a cycle that we do not like. We are like, get me off this ride. I don't want to do this no more. I don't like this. This doesn't represent who I am. And many of us, our first resort is if they would just stop, or why do they keep? Right? And that doesn't mean that our lives are not deeply affected by other people. Our lives are deeply affected by other people. Many of us know that and are living in the results of that right now. But when it's time to break the cycle, we cannot depend on other people aligning with our values and our insight for a cycle to be broken in our life. They're likely not on the same path and not going at the same pace of healing that we are. We might be going faster, they might be going faster, right? So there's a reality that if there's a cycle in your life that you want to break, it's likely that that cycle will only be broken by you making a decision. So that doesn't mean that your decision will change everything around you, but it may mean that the cycle continues, but you take yourself out of it by your decision, your action, or inaction. It may mean that the show keeps going, right? One monkey don't stop no show. And sometimes we might be the monkey. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes we might be the thing that doesn't stop the show. Sometimes the chaos will keep going. Sometimes the dysfunction will keep going. Sometimes the negative cycles will keep going. And the only thing that will change is our decision to say, I will not participate anymore. I will not participate anymore. And I think that's a big part of what's missing in the boundaries conversation is boundaries are not about controlling other people. Boundaries are about managing our own life experience. I can't control what you do, but I can tell you if you do that, I will not participate. If you do that, I will not be in the number. I will not be near. I will not engage. I will not allow you into my space, right? That's what the consequences of boundaries are meant to be. But I think it's so important for us to realize there's a decision we can make. And part of the reason why I always do this as well as a trauma therapist is trauma makes us feel like we are simply subject to what happens to us in life. Trauma can make us feel disempowered. It can make us feel like we have no autonomy or no agency, no control over ourselves, and no control over the decisions that we make in relationship with other people. So when I ask this golden question, I'm often asking this question to help people realize you do have some power. You may not have power over anything, over everything rather, but you do have power over something. And so when I ask that question, if the cycle could be, I'm not saying the cycle will be broken by that decision you make, but if the cycle could be broken by one decision, what decision would you have to make? It brings clarity, it brings honesty, it helps us realize, okay, maybe I'm going through all these steps and hoping, well, maybe if I do this, they'll stop. Or maybe if I'll do this, this will change. Or maybe if I do this, knowing deep down that those are not gonna change it, the real thing that needs to happen is this over here. But we wanna exhaust all the options first so that we don't have to go straight to that because maybe that's scary. Maybe that is overwhelming. Maybe that is something that we just don't feel ready or empowered to do. And I always say, I want you to answer the question honestly, but you do not have to commit to making that decision right now. We are simply doing a thought exercise so that we can start working around the thoughts, the feelings, the trepidation, the shame, all the things around that decision. We can work around that for months. We can work around that for weeks. There's some people I've worked around, they knew exactly what decision they needed to make. It took us a year to work around all of the things that came with making that decision. So I want to remind you today, you do have a choice in how you experience life. You do not have a choice in how you experience every aspect of life, but there is some aspect of life that you do have power in, that you do have agency in, that you do have autonomy in. And the enemy wants us to think that if our power and our agency is taken away in one place, then it's taken away in every place. But many times we restore our power and our agency in a wide array of things when we reclaim it in just one area. Maybe you can't control how people speak to you, but you can control how many times you pick up the phone. Maybe you can't control how people talk to you, but you can control whether you want to spend time with them or not. Maybe you can't control how that parent interacts with you, but you can decide if you're going to go home for the holidays. You know, there is some power that you have. Are you using it? Are you using the power that you have? Are you using the agency that you have? Are you remembering that you also have a sense of control in your life? It is such a overwhelmingly exhausting feeling to feel like everybody else's decisions has so much power in your life, but your own decisions have none, right? So part of the work of trauma recovery as a therapist is not just the action, but the thought exercise of helping people remember there are areas where I can be empowered no matter how big or small. It matters that if there's an area that I can exercise agency, autonomy, and decision-making, that I do it, that I do not give up this small sliver of power because so much of it has been taken away from me. A lot of healing is reclaiming, saying, give it back. Give it back. I want that back. Or saying, you took the 90, but I still got this 10. And I'm standing 10 toes down on this 10. And when we stand 10 toes down on that 10, the decisions we make in that 10% can begin to affect the 90%. So my question to you is, if the cycle in your life, the cycle of low self-esteem, the cycle of toxic friendships, the cycle of abusive relationships, the cycle of screaming at your kids, the cycle of running away from your relationship with God, the cycle of speaking down to yourself, the cycle of ending up at jobs where you end up quitting, whatever that cycle is, if there is a cycle that could be broken by your decision, what would it be? What decision would you need to make? That's all I have for you today. That was on my heart. I hope it blesses you. I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.